Hey everybody, welcome back to DiamondTrail Ranch. Today, I thought we'd do something a little different. Talk about all the things we'd do differently if we were starting our homestead from scratch today. Now, before I start, this isn't meant to offend anybody by any means, okay? I'm not trying to offend anybody here. These are just our opinions based on our experience here on our little 2-acre Florida homestead. Hi Arnold, say hi Arnold. We got a big announcement about him and Bean coming up soon. You'll have to check it out. So, some of these opinions might be unpopular. Some of them might save you money. Some of them might make you mad. Either way, let me know down in the comments what you agree or disagree with, because I am genuinely curious. That's why I'm making this video. Where do you guys stand on this stuff that I'm about to jump into, okay? The first thing that I would do differently is I would spend less money on animals and more on the infrastructure. Honestly, I don't know if you can see it from here, but there's a cracked fence board up there. Okay, just an example. Okay, so what would I do differently, right? Well, where to begin? Infrastructure. When most people start a homestead, they just jump straight into the goats, the chickens, the ducks, the pigs, the rabbits, the cows, everything else. Okay, that's exactly what we did. Okay, the problem is animals need fences. They need shelters. They need water systems. They need shade. If I had to do it all over again, I'd build the infrastructure first and buy animals second. A good fence is forever. A bad fence becomes a weekend project every single weekend. The second thing I'd do differently, well, is I'd start fruit trees immediately. I mean, right out the gate, okay? Not next year, not after the garden, not after the chicken coop. Immediately, I would have had those suckers going first, okay? Right there with the infrastructure. Get your foundations first, honestly. Fruit trees, why? Well, compared to your traditional gardens like tomatoes, beans, okra, what else? Cucumber, squash, those kind of things. Fruit trees take years to mature. The best time to plant a fruit tree was years ago. Ask anybody. The second best time to do it is today. Our bananas, our mulberries, our citrus, and other orchard areas, trees in our area over there have honestly become some of the most rewarding things on the property. I'm really excited for the loquat to get going as well. I mean, really. Even in drought conditions, many of them just continue producing, okay? I can honestly say from experience, we were in a very severe drought. It's been raining in the last week or so, so it's helping a lot. But this year, the drought has been brutal. And you know what was suffering the most? Not our animals, not our orchard, our traditional garden with our beans, our tomatoes, peppers, squash, you name it, okay? That kind of garden, okay? The orchard will keep growing. The garden comes and goes, right? The orchard keeps growing. If I was to start over, I'd probably plant twice as many fruit trees. If we're being honest here, I'd get rid of that hedge we had on the property. Just cut the whole thing down. Just line it with fruit trees over there, a whole nother spot. I mean, get the sugar cane in the ground. Stuff like that, man. Next up, goats. All right, this is where the comments are probably going to start trickling in when they get to this part of the video. This one might get me in trouble. If your goal is milk production, I would start seriously considering starting with a larger dairy breed instead of the Nigerian dwarves, which we do still have plenty of. Don't get me wrong, I love Nigerian dwarves. We all do, right? They're cute, they're friendly, they're easy to handle. They don't get much bigger than Arnold over here, who's sucking on a fence post right now. Silly boy. Nigerian dwarves are great companions. We have plenty of them. I don't know if you can see them right now. They're not out yet this morning. They're still in their pens. A lot of families buy those Nigerian dwarves because they're adorable, right? There's a reason you see so many Nigerian dwarves at livestock auctions. Typically, the ones you see, in my personal opinion, of the ones you see with the Nigerian dwarves are the cookie cutter, everybody's wearing the flowing dresses and cowboy hats with a stage photographer out, in a tree line behind their HOA or something. It's just not real, Same thing with Nigerian dwarves. It's about as superficial as far as your self-sustaining needs are. They get them and then they discover goats are goats. Doesn't matter how big or small they are. They escape. Nigerian dwarves escape too. they climb, they yell, they need hoof trimming, they need parasite management. You know, they get these animals and go, oh my goodness, I have to take care of them. They need the fencing again. Because boy, we go through some fencing issues when we first started. You know, some of our actually over there, our big goat pen has there's parts of it that have like 3 or 4 sections of just trial and error, fencing. And then what ends up being the very last stage, right? Posts, boards, and cattle panel, because cattle panel is holding in cattle, which is larger than goats. Okay. None of that wire, man. Good grief. I'm laughing thinking about from personal experience here. There's a reason these things end up at the auction 6 months after you get them. You see them on your marketplaces online constantly. You know, Nigerian dwarves always at the auctions. Why? Well, it's that starter homestead breed that a lot of people get into, and then a few months later go, man, this isn't for me. I'm just telling you. If your primary goal is milk, breeds like your Nubians, Alpines, Saanens, Lamachas, things like that, generally they're going to produce significantly more. Again, nothing against Nigerian dwarves, and I'll be straight honest with you. We milk our Nigerian dwarves, and they do just fine. They do. If you do your twice a day like you're supposed to, you're going to get a lot of milk. You know, people joke, oh, would you get a cup a day or something? No. We fill up nice little jars, pretty big jars actually, with Nigerian dwarf, but you're going to get substantially, if you have a family or if you're even selling it or giving it away or whatever, you know, you're going to get substantially more. Obviously, there are milking breeds. Okay, you know, your dwarf varieties, there's a dwarf variety of everything. It just means it's smaller, right? But anyway, we enjoy ours. So if someone came to me and said, I want to get into just serious milk production, right? It's 2026 and the world's crazy. I'd tell them, look at the larger dairy breeds first. Honestly, that's it. Another thing we would do differently, I would be more selective about the chickens we have. Chickens are funny because they don't produce nearly as many eggs as you think they do outside of what, a 2-year, 3-year window. And then on top of that, this is where I'm going to get the comments. That's why I'm making this video. Those fluffy chickens you see all over, you know, exhibitions. That's what that breed is effectively. Well, those breeds that I'm about to get into, they're, you know, they're pretty, they're fluffy, they're cute, they walk around the homestead, they're good for photography and showing your friends and, you know, your pride effectively. Fancy chickens, the rare ones, okay, they're called exhibition chickens for a reason. You want one of everything, right? The problem is many of these breeds they're pets that just happen to lay eggs, for lack of a better way. If your goal is food production, egg production, or efficiency, some breeds, hey Thorm, you hanging out, buddy? He's a good boy. The problem is many of those breeds are pets that happen to lay eggs, like I just said. If your goal is that for food production, the example here I'm going to give is silkies. Don't hate me on this. Silkies are beautiful, they're pretty. Yeah, they'll lay an egg or two here and there, right? I'm kidding, they lay more than that, but they're not laying like what I'm about to get into. They're wonderful brooding mothers. They're you know, everybody's kids love silkies. Everybody loves silkies. They're pretty, right? They're cool looking. But from a production standpoint, are they doing a whole lot more than looking really cool? Well, they're an ornamental bird, okay? They eat feed, they take up coop space. They lay very few eggs. They cut into your feed bill, honestly. I mean, yeah, you can get some pest control out of them if they can see. You know, they lay very few eggs compared to the productive breeds. If we were starting over and focusing on eggs, we'd lean much heavier into productive egg layers, like your leghorns, your productive reds, your black stars, your ISA brown, you know, your Australorps, you know, things like that, okay? Just not your exhibition breeds, okay? Not if you're trying to lay eggs. It's pretty chickens are fun, don't get me wrong. Productive chickens are going to pay their rent. They're going to pay their dues. They're going to earn their place on the homestead, okay? Speaking of birds, I think ducks, ours are out right now. I don't know how they got out. I put them up I'm sorry, I didn't even put them up. And they were already up. We fed them last night. I walked away not even 5 minutes later, and they were all behind me, okay? I don't know. So, again, this is homestead life. I'm not editing here. Don't know why they're out, and it's okay that they're out. They free range too. It's fine. They're actually great. They're better pest control than chickens are. I don't know how they got out, so that's something I got to deal with today. But we let them out, you know, every probably every couple days or so. It's just funny that, you know, things like that. If you're on a homestead, all right. Anyway, they're one of the most underrated animals, honestly, ducks. I'm not kidding. And people, you know, that's not what they're thinking silkies and Nigerian dwarves. They are. Your cookie cutter, you know, your photography homesteaders, I'll call them. I don't know. I might actually do a series on that because it's kind of funny. Anyway, if somebody told me today, you know, I could only keep ducks or chickens, well, probably ducks. They're going to lay more and more often too. They're larger. They have richer yolks. The eggs. Many bakers actually prefer them. They make fantastic baked goods. The ducks free range, like I said, incredibly well. They're funny. They're hardy, really. They're generally less affected by some of the issues chickens deal with. The downside is ducks are messy, really messy, unbelievably messy. Ducks are very messy. I mean, good grief, really messy. Have you ever, guys, if you have ducks, let me know in the comment section below. How do you kind of help maintain? I'm curious what you guys do for your duck pens with that. Are you putting like straw down, hay? You know, is your duck pool, is it off the ground with blocks and things of that nature? I'm curious what you guys are doing. And your ducklings, if you're raising ducks as well, from, you know, bait from egg. But anyway, yeah, so from a food production standpoint, I think ducks deserve way more attention than they honestly get. I really do. The next thing we'd do differently, I would focus more on perennial food production and less on the annuals, okay? I'm not super big on annual food production. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not my favorite thing. I'm more of a sustainability kind of thing. Although annuals are great with your, good grief, the kind of uncertainty we're in nowadays, but the reality is different these days. When you first start, you know, you imagine those giant gardens that just produce food year round. And yeah, that's very doable. It's very doable. The realities hit though, and especially in Florida. And I'm just kind of thinking for a second, because, you know, you get that, the cold front, the colds, man. We were in the 20s from many, okay, we're in 10, what are we in, 10A? We're in USDA 10A, which is hot, okay? That's our ag zone, right? Hot. Well, we were in the 20s Fahrenheit for a very long time, and it just killed everything, all the plants, dead. Our animals made it fine, you know, we give them heat. I tried to keep I tried to keep the plants warm, you know, with the blankets and things like that. I didn't try the Christmas light techniques and things like that I've seen. We did do the blankets and stuff, though. The bananas made it. Most of the thing, okay, the whole orchard, almost everything made it in the orchard except for the Jamaican cherry. That's just, it's not. If you know anything about those, it wasn't going to make it. No matter what I did, I don't think it would have made it in those temperatures. But anyway, off the weather, you know, you get your drought, good grief. So we had the cold, right? And then it's followed by just no rain whatsoever. It just started raining here in the middle of June. Then you have your pests, your diseases. When we first moved here on this homestead with our dream, right? What happened? We had historic hurricanes in the state of Florida. Not one, but two. We had two historic hurricanes. The eye of them went directly over our home. Insurance rates and everything just shot up and screaming. TECO, the energy bills, electric companies, you know, your monthly electric bill skyrocketing because now they're having to pay for, you know, what the amount of standby and work they've had to put in, you know, bringing in people from out of state. It's crazy. It's a battle. I know I go on a little tangent here, but this is all pertaining to homesteading, man. This is all going back to production and sustainability. And is it right for you, or are you just doing it for a pretty picture on social media? I'm serious. You know, our orchard has often outperformed our vegetable garden in terms of long-term success. And if I'd start over, I'd still grow the vegetables, the basic ones, you know, your necessities. We have a garden seed book. It's got, you know, all the things. It's got our annuals in it. I'll call them that. It's got your annuals in it. It's got lots of them. So, but I would invest more heavily in the fruit trees, the berries, banana, the sugar cane, and other various perennial crops. The next thing I would do is rabbits earlier than later. Same thing with the pigs. I'm going to shoot those two together in the same category. I would have jumped into pigs and rabbits sooner than later. Honestly, rabbits have honestly been one of the better livestock decisions we made. They've been on our dinner table already. The chickens have been on our dinner table here on our property. Rabbits are quiet. They're efficient. They don't require a huge amount of space. They reproduce quickly. They're relatively inexpensive to feed compared to large livestock. If somebody had 2 acres and asked me what meat animal I'd recommend for beginners, rabbits would be very high on this list. Make sure you build shade like we did. A cooling system, you know, fans. Make sure you have fans. If they're outside, make sure they have the fans. I'm gonna listen and go an odd noise I hear over there. I think it's the neighbors. Yeah, it is. The you know, you get the fans, and they're in there with them, blowing on and plugged in, of course, not battery. If they're outside, right? But make sure they have the shade over them and the ice. Freeze some water bottles. Put that on there. So, you know, YouTube can make you think you need everything. Fancy feeders, fancy waters, fancy equipment, and pretty pictures for social media. Most of the time, you don't need any of that. Most of our effective solutions are the simplest ones. The last thing I do differently is slow down. I think a lot of people fail because they try to build a homestead from scratch in 6 months. And they start off with too many animals, too many projects, too much equipment, too much of all of that right out the door. They burn out. It's not a race. It's not a race. And it's not pretty. Look around. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. You know, you're always doing something. So the orchard doesn't care how fast you want it to grow. The goats don't care about your schedule. The gardens, you know, doesn't care about your plans. Everything happens on nature's timeline. If I had one piece of advice for somebody starting today, it'd be this: start smaller than you think you need to. Build the infrastructure first, plant fruit trees immediately, buy the fewer animals than you think you want. Give yourself room to learn, because every mistake teaches you something. We've made plenty of mistakes. We have. We'll probably make more. That's part of the journey. Let me know in the comments. What would you do differently if you started your homestead over today? Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one here at Diamond Trail Ranch. Also, a big announcement coming soon. We're dabbling into children's books.